Hi everyone, welcome to my first episode of User versus Business. I'm Sarah DeZita, a UX and product strategy consultant. I've worked on over 100 projects for companies with budgets of billions of dollars and with individuals who have a sweet idea in their pocket. And I'm making this series specifically to show how being a good UX designer and product maker is all about balancing that fine line between user wants and business goals. Anyway, one of the ways I keep myself sharp is by studying any interesting UX I come across in my day-to-day life. And the inspiration, both good and bad, is everywhere. Think of it as like writers who keep daily notebooks or designers who collect scrapbooks for inspiration. It's basically the same thing. But here's the question I ask when I come across this piece of UX. What's the reason behind it? Why does it exist? Is it user-based or was it created mainly for the business? Then I really try to figure out the answer. So let's take a look at some things that caught my attention recently. First up, let's talk about Medium. I write pieces on Medium, and recently I saw that there's a new piece of functionality here, and I gotta say, wow. It is just a really, really nice piece of UX. The audio is really nice to listen to, and I'm not even an audio person usually, and I didn't mind it at all. I also really love the toolbar, and there are some really nice surprises inside of it. User-wise, it totally makes sense for Medium to provide ways for people to consume content in a way that they're comfortable. It also addresses the legalities and just the reality of an accessible world where the tool itself is the norm. It's not a hidden or invisible piece of functionality unless you really need it. I'm really curious just about the technology itself. I did a quick Google search and it shows that the company acquired this startup called Knowable, I think. Yes, that helped bring the audio technology into the company. Obviously, Medium is looking to the future and laying some groundwork for what's to come, so it's something we should keep an eye out for. Anyway, sad news is it's not in the app yet, and that's really interesting. I wonder why it's in the browser and the desktop application, but it's not in the app itself. For the third example, we're going to talk about Google Meetings and how it works on Firefox. So I'm currently working with an agency on a project, and they do everything in G Suite. So I have an email with the agency through G Suite. Obviously, G Suite is a paid, the agency pays for the service. For it to be used. So because they have G Suite, they do all of their conference calls with their clients through Google Meetings, which is totally fine. But here's the thing that's very interesting, is that we've all noticed that, at least for me, I use Firefox as my browser. When I have to share my screen in Google Meetings, it's always glitchy. People cannot see my screen clearly. And it's not the internet connection, because it doesn't happen if we use Zoom or Slack or Microsoft Meetings or any other app that we've tried. And so the hypothesis that we're all working on is that if I was in Chrome, this would not probably be an issue, and that there is some sabotage going on with Google and Firefox. This may sound paranoid, but there is a history of sabotage for companies when it comes to users or for competition in our industry. And really, it's just annoying for me as a user and also as a designer, because Google is so often upheld as the standard of UX. I'm so often in client meetings and on projects where people are like, well, if Google does it, then that's probably fine. It's a benchmark. We should just do it too. So there's really no excuse for a company like Google if that's the case. And really, I cannot help but wonder if that's the reason behind it. For our fourth example, we've got Disney Plus and profiles. So recently I logged into Disney Plus and I got a query about creating a new profile for a higher for a different rating. Basically what they're doing is that they are creating an adult profile as opposed to like a family or a child profile. If you've been following the news at all, then you've seen these headlines. So this is probably the business's solve for this very public user concern. What's most interesting to me as a designer is that obviously the mental model is that a streaming platform usually defaults to an adult profile, and there is a special kids profile that gates content, whereas Disney's doing the reverse, the idea being that all content was gated anyway, and now you can have access to the full catalog, which is the adult profile. But as a user, I'm just kind of like, really? Like, this kind of just seems like a vanity faux UX solve, because even in the limited profile, there was interesting stuff that I guess doesn't have a higher, more violent adult rating, but was it acceptable for kids and families? So maybe this is a short-term solution to address the public relations issue that's going on right now, and in the future we're going to see more categorization and taxonomy coming from Disney as they play around with this new division that they've got in profiles. And for the last piece of UX I want to discuss is just, the latest in target marketing. So we all know that companies share data between themselves in order to target market to specific user groups. That's basically the business model of social media. It's why your Instagram feed has been changing so much over the last 2 years, as Facebook or Meta or whatever they call themselves is turning the whole experience more into a marketing portal for businesses to access potential customers than from it being just a place where you can talk to your friends and people that you want to follow. Anyway, the example I want to talk about, though, is just that how quickly the target marketing can happen, or how intertwined the sharing of databases might be now. And I was just surprised, and it caught my attention. So the example is that I've been just doing a lot of internet searches for patio furniture. And then I was in a Hobby Lobby recently, and I bought, gosh, what did I buy? I don't even remember. It wasn't patio furniture. Anyway, the next day I was listening to my Spotify account when an ad from Hobby Lobby popped up, and it talked about how I should buy patio furniture on it. Wow, I thought, I'm just really impressed that potentially all this information of what I did in the last 24, 48 hours was accessed, shared, and disseminated across the proper back channel platforms so quickly. Or maybe I'm just imagining things. If I'm not imagining things, then it's just that target marketing is getting way more sophisticated than ever. I mean, we know that companies sell data to each other to create profiles about us. Those profiles prevent us from hiding our identities online, no matter what we call ourselves. And companies are able to access those profiles and that data to target, market, and message to us. If this isn't something that you're aware of, think of like Facebook. When companies or people buy ads from Facebook, they can shoot messages directly to certain segments based on your location, your likes, what you're doing, your gender, your age group, whatever it is. So as a designer and product maker, I'm just really impressed and thoughtful that we might be here, that the reality is Hobby Lobby can buy ad space on Spotify and connect me and my personal internet search history and location to send me a targeted message. But as a user, I'm really torn, Like, yeah, I do need patio furniture, and that's nice to know, Hobby Lobby, but, also at the same time, gross. Like, you weren't even part of this conversation. Like, it didn't invite you into it. So that's the future, everyone. I guess that's where we're headed. Anyway, that's today. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know in the comments or by subscribing what you think, or if you also kind of, imagine the user versus business scenarios in the day-to-day UX that you encounter. And otherwise, maybe I'll see you for episode 2. All right, bye.